Magandang hapon, ako si Willard Cheng. Ito ang special coverage ng Bilyonaryo News Channel, Inside Duterte's Trial. Ngayon ang unang araw ng confirmation of charges hearing ni dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte kaugnay sa kinakaharap nitong crimes against humanity sa International Criminal Court. Para maghatid ng update sa nagaganap ngayong pagdinig, mga kasama natin mula sa The Hague, Netherlands, sina Webb at Kevin Manalo. At tulad ng nabanggit, ngayon ang unang araw ng confirmation of charges hearing para sa crimes against humanity na hinaharap ni dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte. May ulat ang ating kasamang si Webb mula sa The Hague, Netherlands. Pinky, ano ang maasahan natin ngayong araw?
Willard, magandang umaga mula dito sa The Hague, Netherlands. Narito ako ngayon sa loob ng International Criminal Court dito sa Media Center ng ICC. Papakita lang natin, ipan natin yung camera dito kung nasaan ako at yung nakikita nyo ngayon ay mga bakanting upuan kung saan dapat naroon ang media. Dahil nag-uumpisa na ang trial, it is set to start at 10 a.m. here, local time at The Hague. Marami sa kanila ay bumaba na sa first floor. One floor below this is where the courtroom is, kung saan merong public gallery, yung nakikita natin na may glass, di ba, kung saan nakikita yung ilang mga individual doon. Marami sa media ay nandun na ngayon at nakaantabay dahil dapat nga mag-uumpisa ito ng 10 a.m. The reason I'm saying this, Willard, is because there is going to be a 30-minute delay from where I'm standing dito sa Media Center. Merong 30-minute delay from the start of the proceedings. Kumbaga, yung mga napapanood ng ating mga kababayan and everyone else who has any interest in watching this, will have a 30-minute delay watching it from the social media pages of the ICC. The reason for that, according to the ICC spokesperson, Orion Maye, is that it gives him the opportunity and the chance to be able to take out some sensitive or confidential information. So ngayon, nasa 30-minute delay pa rin tayo. Kung baga, dapat nag-umpisa na ng 10 a.m. pero sa atin, wala pa tayong makikita. So, Willard, muli, ang ilan sa mga nakita ko na nakarating dyan nga sa baba, sa public gallery, ay si dating spokesperson at dating Presidential Legal Counsel, Salvador Panelo. Makikibalita pa tayo kung sino pa ang nandyan sa baba. Maya-maya lamang. Dahil sa baba, Willard, bawal ang any electronic devices, bawal kumuha ng video, bawal kumuha ng photos. So kumbaga, nandun lang sila na nanonood ng proceedings. Ang sabi sa atin din ng spokesperson ng ICC, there's maybe about 150 available seats there in the public gallery. Again, gaya ng sabi mo, the former president is being charged for crimes against humanity on 3 counts. Una, yung which pertains rather to murder na naganap sa Davao between 2013 to 2016 nung siya pa ay mayor. Yung pangalawa naman ay murder din kung saan ang tinarget naman ay mga high value targets mula 2016 to 2017. And then after that also the third is murder and attempted murder mula sa barangay level mula 2016 hanggang 2018. So, Willard, yan ang latest mula dito sa Media Center ng International Criminal Court. Balik sa'yo.
Pinky, narinig mo naman kami for some questions.
Yes, Willard, go ahead.
Okay. Pinky, so nabanggit mo na nakita mo na si Attorney Salvador Panelo. Pero siya ba ay pupwesto doon sa defense panel kung saan nakaupo ang accredited lawyer ni dating Pangulong Duterte led by Attorney Kaufman? Or siya ay part of the audience na manonood lamang?
Yung nakita ko, Willard, medyo mahirap kasi taas-baba dito. Pagbaba ko kanina para sumilip kung sinong nandun dahil bawal nga mga gadgets, nakita ko pumasok si Attorney Salvador Panelo doon sa area ng gallery. Kumbaga, doon siya nakaupo sa public gallery sa ngayon.
At paano ang sistema, Pinky, kung may isang gustong manood sa public gallery? Unahan ba ito or kailangan magpa-reserve?
Kailangan magpa-reserve, Willard. It's a process by which you have to be accredited by the ICC. Hindi naman mahaba yung proseso, pero dahil madami-dami din kaming narito, It took a while. It took some time also to get our IDs actually to be able to get inside the International Criminal Court. So 149 sabi ni ICC spokes or 150 ang available seats doon. So yun ang inaasahan natin. Siguro mapupuno yun, Willard.
And sa mga kamag-anak ni dating Pangulong Duterte, Pinky, may mga nakita ka na ba?
Wala, Willard. I have not seen any one of them. Unfortunately, paikot-ikot din kasi kami dito from the detention center to the ICC, to the protest actions, kung saan-saan din kami kailangan pumunta para makover lahat ng ating kayang makover. With regard to the family, I have not seen any one of them. Ang nakita ko lang nga kahapon, I see lead counsel attorney Nicholas Kaufman.
Napanood nga namin, Pinky, ang iyong interview kay Attorney Kaufman and nasabi niya na confident siya sa magiging kapalaran ni dating Pangulong Duterte. But in terms of kanyang magiging strategy sa paglalahad ng kanyang mga arguments, may mga na-share ba siya sa media na nagko-cover dyan?
Wala. Actually, mahirap din mahanap si Attorney Kaufman, Willard, sa totoo lang. He did not share anything, any of their strategy or how they will present their opening statements even today. Maybe it's also good to tell the people right now, the audience, those watching us, ano ba nga asahan? Ang reading of charges, doon mag-uumpisa yan. Pagkatapos niyan ay ang opening statement ng prosecution. After that is the opening statement of the CLRV or the Common Legal Representatives of Victims. At pagkatapos noon ay ang opening statement ng defense. Yun ang aasahan natin sa first part ng hearing or ng hearing ngayong araw.
At Pinky, ito daw yung unang pagkakataon na maglalahad ang defense ng kanilang panig. Kaya mas mahaba ang panahon na inilat sa kanila. Tama ba?
Tama yun. Pero yung kanilang paglahad ng kanilang panig, kasi there is a schedule, Monday, there's a schedule on Tuesday, may break sa Wednesday, may schedule sa Thursday, at may schedule na naman sa Friday. Mahaba-haba din yung ibinigay na schedule sa defense dahil nga meron namang oras din yung prosecution at yung CLRV. And of course, we have to remember that the OTP or the Office of the Prosecutor has already submitted yung kanilang charges, hindi ba yung document containing the charges or DCC, kung saan sinabmit nila noong July 2025 kung hindi ako nagkakamali at nakita natin yung less redacted part nun, ito lang February, Willard.
Maraming salamat sa iyo, Pinky. Babalikan ka namin for additional updates. Again, Pinky Webb, nag-uulat mula sa The Hague, Netherlands. Ngayon naman ay nasa linya ng telepono si political analyst Antonio Contreras. Magandang hapon po sa inyo, Mr. Contreras. Joining us via Zoom, thank you very much for your time. Ano po ang inaasahan niyo, sir, na magiging takbo ng pagdinig ngayong wala si dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte physically to hear the confirmation of charges hearing?
Well, I think hindi naman dependent sa presence ng dating Pangulo ang magiging confirmation hearing sapagkat kahit naman andyan siya, di naman siya pwede magsalita o hindi naman siya makakapagsalita. Ito po ay isang session na ang mga magsasalita lamang po mga abogado. So, whether he's there or not won't change the proceedings.
At full force ang cabinet members ni dating Pangulong Duterte, pati mga supporters. Sa tingin ninyo ho ba ay makakapagbigay ito ng external pressure sa korte?
Sa tingin ko po ay hindi sapagkat alam naman natin ang International Criminal Court ay hindi po yan, ibang korte po yan at saka sa tingin ko hindi yan nadadala sa presensya o kawalan ng presensya ng mga tao. I think it's just fair to say that this is a very fair and objective venue. Something that I think, pagpasalamat si Pangulong Duterte, at least siya na pagbigyan ng pagkakataon na maidepensa sarili niya sa isang patas na korte. Mantalang yung mga naging biktima ng kanyang war on drugs ay hindi man lang nabigyan ng pagkakataon na madinig ang kanilang side. Diba? So, maganda ito, at least patas, alam natin kung yung totoo lang ang lalabas.
At ano ho ang inaasahan ninyo sa paglalahad ng prosecution, at least on its first day?
Well, alam naman natin na kung ano mga charges laban sa kanya. 'Di ba sinabi nga ni Pinky, tatlo yun. Yung una, yung mga nangyaring pagpatay nung panahong mayor siya ng Davao. Yung ikalawa ay yung mga targeted assassinations or to neutralize high-value targets nung panahon na siya ay presidente na. At yung ikatlo, yun nga yung tinawag natin na tokhang, yung mga biktima ng mga pagpatay sa mga barangay at mga ibang lugar sa Pilipinas. So, hindi na 'to bago sa tingin ko kung ano man yung mga ipe-present ngayon ay yung mga ebidensyang siguro ay nakalap ng prosecution na ngayon lang natin makikita. May nakita nga ako na parang mapa inilabas kanina na naandoon, nakikita natin na malawakan talaga yung nangyaring mga pagpatay sapagkat nakita doon na from the north to the south, from Ilocos region to the Mindanao and Barm, may mga nangyaring mga pagpatay. So siguro ang gusto nga nung prosecution, makita natin na this is a nationwide. And the extent by which this happened was all over the country.
Oo. At ano ho ang magiging tingin ninyong tugon ng depensa tungkol dito? Tingin niyo ho ba ay mahihirapan silang salagin itong mga allegations?
Well, I want to be fair and objective. Sa tingin ko, gagawin naman ni Kaufman ang kanyang lahat na makakaya para idepensa ang dating Pangulo. Pahinain nila. Siguro ang sa tingin ko ang magiging linya ng depensa nila ay hindi ito alam ng Pangulong Duterte, hindi siya ang nag-utos dito. Siguro ganon ang mangyayari na this is or it's a matter of state policy. Pero doon kasi sa matter of state policy, mahirap na mag-rely sila sa ganon na gusto lang nilang ayusin ang problema ng droga sapagkat di ina-admit nila that it is a systematic. Inadapt ito ng gobyerno na pulisiya. So yun, I think what would be difficult. So sa tingin ko ang I'm just second guessing, sa hindi naman ako abogado, pero yun ang pinaka depensa yung hindi ito alam. It's not command responsibility because the president did not specifically order the killing of specific people.
Despite his pronouncement, sir, sa kanyang mga
Yes.
public speeches.
Precisely, that's the kind, or they're going to say that the president is well known to be, his bravado is legendary. Nagbibiro lang siya, o kaya nagbabanta lang, naninindak lang. I think they're going to go to that script, I guess.
At para naman ho sa mga miyembro ng publiko, sir, ano ho ang dapat nilang subaybayan dito sa confirmation of charges hearing at bakit ito mahalaga sa sambayanan?
Mahalaga to sa sambayanan sabagat once and for all, makikita natin sa isang objective at fair at neutral na ground mapag-uusapan ang kasong ito. Ang usaping ito na matagal na talagang nasa bangungot ng ating bansa, ngayon ay nagkakaroon na ng isang lugar, isang venue na objectively, fairly makikita natin ang mga ebidensya at ang mga sagot ng naakusado. So I think we should take advantage of this opportunity to really look at the truth, look at the facts, unfiltered, walang noise, walang toxic blinders, walang propaganda, walang spin. Sa tingin ko magandang panoorin ito at pagkakataon natin na makita ano talaga yung nangyari. Mabuti nga itong nangyari sa labas ng bansa kasi ma-imagine mo, Willard, kung ito ay nandito sa Pilipinas. Kung nasa ang korte sa Pilipinas, talagang nakita ko na yung halaga na kung bakit importante na nasa ICC ito ginagawa. Dahil ito ay venue na fair, venue na objective at hindi nagmamatter sa kanila ang palakasan ng sigaw kung sinong nagrarally o kaya kung yung mga pag-troll sa mga huwes, 'di ba? Yung pressure. I don't think this will work here.
At matagal na rin hindi nagpakita in public si former President Duterte kahit man lang mga larawan.
Well, yun nga dahil siguro dahil wala nga siya ngayon sa hearing, hindi natin makikita talaga kung ano ba talagang nangyayari sa kanya. Pinipinta kasi ni Kaufman na talagang mahinang-mahina na ang Pangulo, he's frail. I don't know, kung siguro nagpakita siya ngayon, makikita nga natin talaga kung siya talaga ay gano'n.
Tingin niyo ho ba tama ang ganitong strategiya, sir?
Na hindi siya pumunta?
Yes.
Well, sabi ko nga, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if he's there or not because what matters are the facts and the arguments. It's good na wala na siya doon kasi at least wala nang dagdag na sa optics, wala nang dagdag na bagahe. wala nang kailang isipin ng mga tao kundi titingnan lang yung facts, yung arguments. Hindi na nagmamatter kung nandoon siya, makaagaw pa siya ng eksena. Makabawas pa siya doon sa focus and attention natin sa nilalahad na argumento ng mga lawyers.
Tingin niyo ho ba, sir, ay magiging epekto ang magiging kalakaran ng pagdinig sa galaw ng politika dito naman sa bansa?
Well, this is always a significant event in our current events, itong nangyayaring ito sa ngayon. May epekto to sa politika, may epekto to sa opinyon ng mga tao. Hati pa rin tayo sapagkat syempre yung mga pro-Duterte, iba yung naratibo nila, yung mga anti-Duterte, iba din yung naratibo nila. Sana tayong nasa akademya, tayong ang ating trabaho, kami ang trabaho namin mag-analyze at kayo naman sa media mag-report, tayo sana maging tagapamagitan na ang talagang lumabas ay kung ano yung facts, ano yung objective reality. Kasi syempre mga kampo-kampo ay may mga kanya-kanyang mga gustong ispin yan. And I think this is also the moment that we have to keep on checking for facts. Kasi malamang ang naratibong galing sa The Hague, isi-spin yan ng kanya-kanyang kampo. A statement can be spin in a different way by one camp or the other to be for or against a personality or an argument. I think the burden on us, you in the media and us in the analyst profession or in the political analyst profession, is to make sure that ang tao ang makikita ano yung talagang, yung factual. Bawasan ng ingay, intindihin ang nangyayari.
Maraming salamat at babalikan po namin kayo habang inaabangan natin ang live feed ng ICC hearing na ito. Mr. Contreras, thank you again.
Maraming salamat, Willard.
Isang taon na mula nang maaresto si dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte. Balikan natin ang mga nangyari sa ulat ni Joash Malimban.
Your concern is human rights. Mine is human lives.
Tila markado na sa kasaysayan ng Pilipinas ang petsang March 11, 2025. Ito ang araw kung kailan isinuko ng pamahalaan sa isang international tribunal ang dati nitong Pangulo na si Rodrigo Roa Duterte. Alas 9 ng umaga nang lumapag sa NAIA ang eroplanong sinasakyan ni FPRRD galing Hong Kong, kung saan nakipagkita siya umano sa OFW communities doon.
Sabihin niyo kung saan siya dalahin.
Dito na inaresto ng ilang tauhan ng PNP at Interpol si Duterte at saka dinala sa Villamor Air Base sa Pasay City.
You are placing under arrest issued by the ICC for crimes against humanity.
Para hintayin ng isang chartered Learjet kung saan siya isinakay patungong The Hague sa the Netherlands. Bagaman umani ng pambabatikos mula sa mga taga-suporta ng pamilyang Duterte, pinanindigan ng administrasyon na alinsunod sa batas ang naging hakbang na ito.
Former President Duterte's arrest and transfer to The Hague is a long overdue victory against impunity that could bring victims and their families a step closer to justice. Adding that, this momentous event sends a message to human rights abuses everywhere that one day they could be held to account.
Kasabay nito ay ang mga hamong legal na isinampa ng mga anak ni FPRRD sa Korte Suprema.
Merong kailangang prosesong sundin. Kailangan bigyan mo ng pagkakataon yung accused na sagutin yung complaint at patunayan na hindi siya dapat ma-extradite sa bansa na nag-request sa kanya.
At isang pagdinig sa Senado.
Since when did the Philippines become a province of The Hague? Kung kaya nilo itong gawin sa isang dating Pangulo, sino na susunod? If they can march into our house and take one of our own, what stops them from doing it again?
Pero sa kabila ng mga kaliwat ka ng naratibo, bakit nga ba inaresto ang dating Pangulo?
The cases that we are speaking about were filed by their families in the ICC because they could not get justice in the country. I think that's one thing that nobody wants to acknowledge, is that there was a failure of our justice system for a long time.
Kasalukuyang nahaharap sa kasong Crimes Against Humanity si FPRRD dahil sa umano'y malawakang extrajudicial killings sa kanyang madugong war on drugs. Sakop nito ang mga panahon kung kailan naging mayor si Duterte ng Davao City at naging Pangulo ng Pilipinas kasabay ng pagiging parte ng bansa sa Rome Statute.
The difficulty that we had from 2022 is that in wrongful death situations throughout the country, where something foul was suspected, there were no police reports.
Okay.
As a matter of practice, there were no police reports on wrongful death situations. And when we tried to dig further and we spoke to the medical legal, the most known medical legal person in the country, Dr. Fortune, when she investigated a wrongful death situation, the death certificate indicated cardiac arrest as the cause of death. But in the autopsy, there were bullet holes in the head.
3 counts of crimes against humanity ang nakasampa laban sa dating Pangulo. First count ang umano'y murders in or around Davao City ng umano'y Davao Death Squad na pinamumunuan daw ng dating Pangulo. Pangalawa, ang umano'y murders of high-value targets sa kanyang administrasyon bilang Pangulo. At ikatlo ang umano'y murders at attempted murders sa mga barangay clearance operations o mas kilala sa tawag na oplantukang.
Yung charges na ito, una, crimes against humanity in the acts of murder at may dinagdag na attempted murder. Ibig sabihin, hindi pa pasok o hindi pa kasama sa kaso ni Duterte sa ngayon ang pagkulong, ang pag-torture at saka yung sinasabing rape na inaplayan ng prosecutor dun sa warrant of arrest.
Ngayong araw, ang kauna-unahang sesyon ng confirmation of charges hearing ng dating Pangulo. Dito babasahin ng defense, prosecution at representasyon ng mga biktima ang kanilang mga argumento at akusasyon. At kasabay ng panawagan ng mga taga-suporta ni FPRRD sa kanyang pag-uwi sa bansa ay ang pag-asa ng mga pamilya ng mga drug war victim na makakamit na nila ang hustisya.
Nakausap ni Pinky Webb ang defense counsel ni dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte na si Nicholas Kaufman at isa sa common legal representatives of victims na si Attorney Gilbert Andres. Narito ang kanilang mga pahayag.
How confident are you about defending the former president?
For me, it's a privilege to defend him because I believe him. I believe him. And my job is to attack the sufficiency of the evidence. And I've seen the evidence, I've learned the evidence, I've been learning it for the last year, unlike the victims' representatives who will be appearing tomorrow, who rolled up last week. I'm not sure they've even been able to access the evidence, but anyway, they'll be saying their piece tomorrow. We're prepared.
So, nakakadatok dito kami sa sabihin ko. At syempre, meron pa kasi yung mga last minute eh. So, yun po yung rehay na ron po yung mga last minute. So, yun po yung mga challenges.
And are you ready for obviously the defense? How the defense will defend the former president?
Yes, we're also ready na. Kasi importante po yun for the closing statement. Kasi ang closing statement po, rebuttal po sa po ano man po sinabi ng defense. Kaya nabandawin po lang kami na talagang tinira nilatisin po kung ano po magiging defense.
As of now, I'll just give a range. It's between 400 to 500, but we will give the specific number on Monday during the opening statement. There's actually no expectation for the admitted victims to be physically present during the confirmation of charges. Why? Because there's actually a security risk. And we know that the context here, the charged crimes are actually international crimes. That's the reason why the Chamber appointed the common legal representative for victims.
Nakausap din ni Pinky Webb at Kevin Manalo ang ilan sa taga-suporta ng dating Pangulong Duterte.
Until now, nandito pa rin kami because iisa lang yung nilalaban talaga namin, or dalawa, sovereignty of Filipinos, because you can't subject a Filipino under a scrutiny of a foreign entity. And second, the human rights of an 81-year-old Filipino citizen na kahit nandito nga sa Netherlands, yung mga senior citizens nila are not being imprisoned because they're old, they're in their sunset years. How much more for someone that's 81-year-old na malayo siya sa pamilya niya? I feel sad for him, but also I don't want people that hates him to gloat on how his appearance
kung ano magiging itsura niya.
So I'm pretty sure kung ano man ang decision niya, it's a smart decision, and it's also a decision that most of us will actually respect.
Mapaiyak ako. Kasi kawawa siya. Matagal din siya dyan na walang conviction, walang charges.
Magbabalik ang BNC special coverage inside Duterte's trial. Ito ang BNC special coverage inside Duterte's trial. Ngayon naman ay dumako tayo sa mga nangyayari sa loob ng courtroom ng pre-trial chamber kung saan ongoing na po at underway ang kanilang pagpapalabas ng pagsisimula ng confirmation of charges hearing.
It's comprising our team today, and I thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Deputy Prosecutor. Now, before moving on to the defence, I note that Mr. Duterte is not present in the courtroom today. Indeed, on the 20th of February 2026, the Chamber granted Mr. Duterte's request to waive his rights to be present at the confirmation of charges hearing. Pursuant to Article 61(2)(a) of the Rome Statute, and Rule 124 of the Rules of Procedure and Evidence. In this decision, number 387, the Chamber concluded that the conditions contained in the provisions were fulfilled, namely that Mr. Duterte has the right and knows he has the right to be present at the confirmation of charges hearing, and knows the consequences of waiving this right. However, Mr. Duterte's counsel is present today to represent him. Counsel, could you please introduce yourself and confirm to me that the list of your team members that I received before the hearing is indeed correct?
Good morning, Madam President. Good morning, Your Honours. Indeed, the list before you is correct. May I introduce my team? To my left, I have Dr. Dov Jacobs. To my right, I have Ms. Havnit Sethi. Sitting next to her is Maître Alexandre Dezev-Dabi. Behind him, Attorney David Rancati. Sitting next to him, Maître Sandrine de Sena. And our two further lawyers, we have Nicolas Rousseau and also Kaylin Chen. And if Your Honour will permit me, there are also Filipino attorneys who are attending and supporting us today, and I'll briefly mention their names. Maître Salvador Mediadea, who Your Honours are familiar with from the initial appearance. Attorney Martin Delgra, Attorney Silvestre Bello, Attorney Alfredo Lim, Attorney César Doulay, and of course, Attorney Salvador Panello. Thank you very much.
Merci beaucoup, Maître.
Thank you very much, Counsel. I would like to now call upon the legal representatives of victims to introduce themselves and confirm to me that the list of your team members I received before is correct.
Proceedings are represented today by Mr. Joel Butuyan, Mr. Gilbert Andres, myself, Paulina Masida, and I confirm the list of our jurists who assist us today as provided to the court officer. Thank you very much.
Merci beaucoup, Maître Masida. Thank you very much, Maître Masida. Thank you. On my right, I have Judge Rain Adelaide, and I have Judge Adelaide Sophie Alapina Gansu, and to my right I have Maria del Socorro Flores Liera. And I am Julia Antonuela Motok, and I am the presiding judge in Pre-Trial Chamber 1 of the court. This hearing concerns the confirmation of charges by the prosecution against Mr. Duterte. At this stage of pre-trial proceedings, the OTP alleges that Mr. Duterte is responsible for the crimes that the court officers shall read out shortly. The Chamber shall not take any decision with regard to the guilt or innocence of Mr. Duterte during this hearing. Indeed, the role of the Chamber is to determine whether there is sufficient evidence to establish substantial grounds to believe that Mr. Duterte committed the crimes with which he is charged. If all or part of the charges are confirmed, the Chamber will refer the case to trial, where the trial chamber will decide upon the innocence or guilt of Mr. Duterte. The general principles to be applied at the hearing are as follows. The suspect, in accordance with Article 66 of the Rome Statute, the suspect is considered to be innocent until his guilt has been proven by the court. The burden of proof is upon the OTP, which must produce sufficient evidence to prove the charges against Mr. Duterte at the required standard of proof, at Article 61, paragraph 7 of the Rome Statute. Finally, the defense enjoys, or the suspect enjoys, all the rights listed at Article 61, paragraphs 6 and 67 of the Rome Statute. The hearing shall take place according to the schedule contained in the order dated the 26th of January 2026, document number 359. The parties and participants must respect the allocated speaking times indicated in this order. I would like to remind the parties and participants that oral remarks must be concise and that repetition of previously presented arguments should be avoided. In addition, in order to facilitate the work of the interpreters and ensure the proper transcription of discussions, please make sure that your microphone is on every time you address the court. And please speak slowly and mark pauses between each sentence. Generally speaking, the hearing will be held in open session, and parties and participants will refrain from mentioning the names of victims and witnesses. They will only refer to them by their pseudonym or their code. In order to avoid the disclosure of any confidential information, notably with regard to witnesses and victims, the parties and participants will clearly indicate whether their submissions can be presented in public or whether they deem it necessary to move into private session, notably when referring to items of evidence. The parties and participants will clearly indicate when it is no longer necessary to remain in private session. With these rules in place, we can now move to the reading of the charges in its shortened form, indicating the charges against Mr. Duterte. The full version is available publicly on the internet site of the court. The defence has not raised any objections in this regard. I would like to remind the public that the charges that shall be read out in a few seconds comprise allegations raised by the Office of the Prosecutor that the Chamber shall analyse in order to decide whether the evidence presented by the Office of the Prosecutor is sufficient in order for these charges to be confirmed. Madam Courtroom Officer, would you please read the charges?
The prosecution charges Mr. Rodrigo Duterte with 2 counts of murder and 1 count of murder and attempted murder as a crimes against humanity committed between 2013 and around June 2016 and between around July 2016 and September 2018 in the Republic of the Philippines as follows. Count 1. Murder of 19 victims alleged to be criminals, including 3 children, who were killed in or around Davao City in the Philippines between 2013 and around 2016 by members of the Davao Death Squad, while Mr. Duterte was the mayor of the Davao City pursuant to Article 71A of the Rome Statute. Count 2. Murder of 14 victims labeled as high-value targets for their alleged criminality, who were killed in locations across the Philippines between around July 2016 and July 2017 by a network of perpetrators comprising state actors and others, referred to as the National Network, while Mr. Duterte was the President of the Philippines pursuant to Article 71A of the Rome Statute. And count 3. Murder and attempted murder of 45 victims, comprising 43 murders and 2 attempted murders of persons alleged to be criminals, including 3 children who were targeted in barangay clearance operations in locations across the Philippines between around July 2016 and September 2018 by members of the National Network, while Mr. Duterte was the President of the Philippines pursuant to Articles 71A and 25(3)(f in respect of the attempted murder of the Rome Statute. The prosecution alleges that Mr. Duterte is individually criminally responsible for all 3 of the above counts as follows. First, as an indirect co-perpetrator pursuant to Article 25(3)(a) of the Rome Statute. At least between 1st November 2011 and 16 March 2019, Mr. Duterte and his co-perpetrators shared a common plan to neutralize alleged criminals in the Philippines, including individuals perceived or alleged to be associated with drug use, sale, or production, through violent crimes including murder. Mr. Duterte and his co-perpetrators implemented this common plan through the hierarchically organized structures of the Davao City Police and Davao Death Squad, and then the National Network. Within the framework of the common plan, Mr. Duterte made essential contributions to the crimes in counts 1 to 3 by A. Designing and disseminating the police to neutralize alleged criminals, both in his role as a mayor of the Davao City and also during his presidential campaign and as a president, including by endorsing the anti-illegal drugs campaign Double Barrel. B. Establishing and overseeing the DDS. C. Instructing and authorizing violent acts, including murder, to be committed against alleged criminals, including alleged drug dealers and users. D. Providing personnel and other necessary logistic resources such as weapons including those to be used in the execution of the crimes. E. Appointing key personnel to positions which were crucial to the execution of the crimes. F. Offering financial incentives and promotions to police officers and hitmen to kill alleged criminals. G. Creating and maintaining a system in which perpetrators knew they would be protected, including through promises of immunity and shielding perpetrators from investigation and prosecutions. H. Making public statements authorizing, condoning, and encouraging killings of alleged criminals, both as a mayor of the Davao City and as a president of the Philippines. I. Authorizing state actors to take part in the anti-drugs campaign and temporarily revoking such authorization, including to placate public outcry. J. Publicly naming individuals and holding up charts from lists of alleged criminals, including so-called high-value targets, some of whom were subsequently killed. Second, in the alternative, Mr. Duterte is charged with ordering and/or inducing the charged crimes pursuant to Article 25(3)(b) of the Rome Statute, and/or aiding and abetting these crimes pursuant to Article 25(3)(c) of the Rome Statute.
Merci, Madame la Greffière.
Thank you, Madam Courtroom Officer. With regard to objections and observations under Rule 122, paragraph 3 of the Rules of Procedure and Evidence, the Chamber notes that the defence submitted a number of written observations, and the last of which was on the 16th of February 2026, to which the OTP and the legal representatives of victims responded, respectively, on the 17th and the 18th of February 2026. On the 20th of February 2026, the Chamber dismissed, in its public decision, the defence's objections. In specifying that the defense and the Office of the Prosecutor are not permitted to reiterate the same arguments already presented in the filings mentioned, that they filed to date in this case, I will now ask if the parties wish to make any oral submissions on this point before moving to the opening statements. Mr. Deputy Prosecutor? Mr. Nyang, we do not have any submissions to make in this regard. Thank you very much, Mr. Deputy Prosecutor. Counsel?
Merci beaucoup, Maître Kaufmann. Donc, on peut maintenant passer à la phase.
So we can now move on to stage 2, namely the opening statements, and I hand over to the Office of the Prosecutor. Mr. Deputy Prosecutor, please.
Madam President, honorable member of the bench, all those following these proceedings inside the courtroom and outside, and especially those in the Philippines. Today marks an important day for international justice for the people of the Philippines, for the victims, and for this court. The commencement of the confirmation hearing against Mr. Rodrigo Duterte is a reminder of the court's unwavering commitment to its mission to investigate and prosecute individuals for the most serious crimes of concern to the international community and to bring justice to the thousands of victims of the mass crimes and atrocities perpetrated in the Philippines. It is also a reminder that those in power are not above the law. Your Honors, over the course of the next 20 minutes or so, I will provide an overview of the evidence in this case that demonstrates that Mr. Duterte is responsible for the charged crimes. And my team will then develop aspects of this evidence in more details. This case before you today, it is before you today because there are substantial ground to believe that Mr. Duterte is criminally responsible for those three counts of murder just spelled out and attempted murder as crimes against humanity. These charged crimes were committed during the time within the court jurisdiction, which is between the 1st of November 2011 and the 16th of March 2019. At first, they were committed in and around Davao City, where Mr. Duterte was the mayor, and then expanded across the rest of the Philippines when he became president. Mr. Duterte is charged with 49 incidents of murder and attempted murder of 78 victims, including children. These murders and attempted murders were part of a widespread and systematic attack that overall resulted in the killings of thousands of civilians across the country during the relevant time frame. Thus, the charged incidents are merely a fraction of the overall criminality that resulted from Mr. Duterte's so-called war on drugs. What is Mr. Duterte's core contribution? Your Honors, Mr. Duterte played a pivotal role in the commission of the charged crimes. His contribution was essential, as he was at the very heart of the common plan to use his words, to neutralize alleged criminals in the Philippines, including through murders. The victim included individuals associated with or perceived to be associated with drugs. One of the first things Mr. Duterte did when he became the mayor of Davao back in 1988 was to create the infamous Davao Death Squad, otherwise known as DDS. As you will have seen from the prosecution pre-confirmation brief, Mr. Duterte personally instructed Death Squad members that their mission was to kill criminals and suspected criminals, including drug users and dealers, also referred to as drug pushers. The death squads carried out this mission well into the charge period through 2011 to 2016, perpetrating the crimes charged in count 1. Your Honors, Mr. Duterte's criminal plan and his intent were no secret. He not only shared them with his co-perpetrators, and members of the death squad, but also made them abundantly clear to the general public in the numerous public statements that he made time and again. During his presidential campaign, Mr. Duterte explicitly vowed to implement the common plan to neutralize alleged criminal nationwide if elected. This was his program to be elected. He publicly announced his intention to eradicate corruption, criminality, and drugs in 3 to 6 months. And this is what he said. I quote, "If I become the president, I will order the military and the police to hunt down the drug lords, the big ones, and kill them." That's what he said. And this can be found at tab 12 of the prosecution list of material. Similarly, when speaking about druggies, I quote, in a televised interview in 2015, this is again what he said. "If I become president, you will all get wiped out. I will order your execution within 24 hours. That's what he said. That I quote directly from his word. And this quote can be found at tab 19.2 of the prosecution list of materials, ERN PHL OTP 401684, page 003, and these are the lines 82 to 83. And elected he was. And becoming president on 13th of June 2016, this provided him with the opportunity to follow through with his promise and to expand extrajudicial killings of alleged criminals beyond Davao.